Welcome to the Sacred Success Summit, where you access the secrets to sacred success and become even more of the goddess you've always known you were. Your host for this session is Candace McKim. Candace is a #1 international best-selling author, TEDx speaker, and renowned intuitive manifestation coach, known for her vibrant approach to helping purpose-driven women manifest more income and impact sustainably. Co-creator of this summit, Candace, is eager to introduce another inspirational guest. Take it away, Candace.
Welcome, everybody, to this next amazing talk. We have Rose May here today, and her talk is From the Boardroom to the Bedroom, Achieving Inner Balance and in Business and in Love. Welcome, Rose. I'm super excited. Amazing talk title.
Thank you, Candace. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me today. And I just love what you girls are doing with these summits. They're so exciting. And I always learn so much when I come. Amazing aha moments.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
I really enjoyed the last couple of years of watching them.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Let me just introduce you officially. Rose May, quantum mindshift coaching and consulting, mindset coach for business results and relationship intimacy, focused on better business results and deeper emotional connections in relationships for busy women. I think we can all relate to that. Especially being busy and especially as entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, coaches. So tell us a little bit about you and how you got guided onto this path.
Okay, yeah, it's been about a 2-year journey since I decided I wanted to do coaching, and kind of bounced around a little bit, and with lots of help and guidance, I've been able to kind of decide to go kind of back to my roots, but also from the human design that Ranchelle helped me with, looking into relationships and patterns and trying to bring that into like money and finance, and how do I put these together? And so it's been quite a journey. And so basically, I'm a financial business consultant and relationship mindset coach. So I help entrepreneurs know their numbers and understand their relationship with their business, money, and how their romantic relationship plays a role in it. If you think of how we're mirrors, being sort of in this, in the summit with like-minded individuals, I'm sure a lot of people have heard how we're mirrors. What is going on inside of us kind of mirrors what's going on outside of us, in our relationships, in our business, in our money. And so that's part of it, is to kind of look at that. And so my background is that I have an accounting degree, and that I worked most of my career in accounting, business, and finance. And I have many years experience in business processes, strategies, and money management. But I also have always been very interested in relationships and patterns. Going back to when I was in high school, I wanted to be like Dr. Ruth, the sex therapist. I didn't know what sex was back then, but yet it just really intrigued me. And kind of fun that way. And so I'm really kind of looking at sort of that inner balance and that balancing act that us, especially as women, men have to do it too. What I mean by especially as women have special challenges that are different than men's a lot of times. And so looking at balancing the career and the romantic relationship.
Yeah. I've always felt, and I've actually said this to some of my friends, that I believe I'm able to do this work in the world because I have such a healthy relationship with my husband, right? Like, because I was like, this is my second marriage, though it's been 28 years, but my first marriage, there's no way I was putting so much energy into the relationship that I couldn't live my purpose. I couldn't do what my true work in the world was. And so had to create that healthy relationship so that I could do my work.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I had a friend that recently divorced, and we were talking. And, a lot of times I think at the end of relationships, we kind of feel ourselves stuck.
Mm.
And her and I were talking, and she said that since he left and she got a divorce, her sales margins have like doubled. And they were talking about how she's capped out. And so therefore she gets all these extra bonuses because she's capped out. And I remember talking to her a year earlier when she's like, yeah, we're kind of have problems. I really want to work it out with him, but I don't think he's willing to. And I guess there was some narcissistic tendencies going on with him. And it really kind of shut her down. When you look at the chakras, our creative space is kind of down there in what the sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra area. And then also narcissism, especially the voice gets shut
Yeah.
down. And that's, up here in our throat center. And
Yeah.
so it's just amazing how when you don't have a healthy relationship, how it shuts you down in your business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Okay. So tell us your first myth that you want to bust.
Okay. So yeah, I was going to talk about some of the common blocks that we encounter. And the first one is lack of clarity as being a block.
Mm.
And what I kind of like to look at there is just having a clear vision and goals. If you like to use the tool, having an action plan, like for me, I guess because I have that accounting background, I like to have that tangible action plan to kind
Yeah.
of look at. And I
Yeah.
think in order to get those, the vision, the goals, and the action plan, you need to know what you want. And Candace, you were talking about this earlier today on manifesting. And it's so
Yeah.
important that you are offering a 90-minute talk with, if for anybody that signed up with your manifesting class on how, 90, what was it, a 90-minute deep dive just on what do you want? Because how can you manifest? How can you get clarity? How can you know what your vision, goals, or action plan is if you don't know what you want and why you want it? And so
Yeah.
I
So
think it's
like what you're
really,
talking about, like if you're, in a relationship, with a narcissist or whatever, and you're shutting yourself down, right? If you're shutting yourself down over and over again, and really, like, I think this is what you're talking about, right? Then you really can't connect to what you want and how do you grow a business from there?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's, one of the things in the workbook that I'm offering as my free gift is really drilling down into the what you want and why you want it, going down into different layers of that. And I think for me, the reason it was so important is because I just never really did that. Or I'd say, yeah, I kind of know what I want. But yeah, it's one thing to like, it's kind of like going on a car lot and saying, I want a Chevy. And then you get there and it's like, well, there's all kinds of Chevys, there's all kinds of colors, there's all kinds of options. Well, what do you want? You can't just say, I want a, Cadillac SUV, sort of a thing. I mean, you kind of have to know what color you want and the interior. And I think they have different sizes and styles and all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of how I
Yeah.
relate
And
to
how about how much we get influenced by other people,
yeah.
right? Like you might know, okay, I'm going to say Lincoln because I have a Lincoln instead of a Cadillac. Right? But you get the Lincoln and then you get in there and well, they only have these two colors, but you went in there with a certain idea of which color you want. And then it's like then you start to get influenced or, like family, friends. Yeah. Like how do you stay true to that what you actually want?
Yeah. What kind of comes up for me was the aha moment that I had in your talk was bringing your dream into your reality as opposed to the other way around. And I'm
Yeah.
really going to start looking at that especially when I'm working on visualizing and different things. Because yeah, I've been doing it the opposite way.
Yeah. Yeah. So many of us do, right? Okay, let's go into your second myth that you want to
Sure.
bust
Yeah.
or mindset.
So Yeah, the second common block that I have is the negative self-talk and the self-doubt that we have, because it kind of sabotages our success because it brings down our confidence a lot of times. And I think it also puts out there a lot of resistance. Um, and I think also importantly to look at is the feelings behind those thoughts. And so I think it's a really good practice to become self-aware of those thoughts and track it back to the emotions and the feelings. For me, that's what I'm working on now. I've been working on that for 2 years. For me, it was a huge mountain to get over. Um, I guess to begin with, it was sort of like, okay, now I need to start paying attention to myself all day long. I guess that's kind of a self-care thing too, right? Like let's pay attention to me, not to
Yeah.
everybody else's emotions going on, not to just my child's emotions, but what's going on inside me and my emotions. And I really found that I really would get drugged down with emotions. And the most important thing was getting out of bed, because Monday morning getting out of bed, and then Monday through Thursday getting out of bed because I was going into a job that didn't satisfy me, and just it's so institutionalized because I work for the government, so it's just so institutionalized. And
Right.
Had a discussion with Jack Canfield, kind of like one of those group calls, and he told me I need to appreciate three new things a day to appreciate. And so I thought it
Okay.
was really important. Yeah, so like with that negative self-talk, to just have those three items of appreciation, or gratitude works too. Because before I would just like do one thing and I journal about it, but what really drove home for me was the three new things, because he said that gets you in the habit of looking for something new to appreciate, so that when you're getting in a mood, you can say, okay, I mean, for me, I'm sitting in traffic, so to speak. And I'm like, okay, I can get upset and angry like all these people around me, or like the little grandma sitting next to me, just sitting there like, whatever, I'll get there eventually. And I could be like that. And so it kind of brings home, I have a choice on, for one thing, I'm self-aware now instead of just getting mad. But I'm self-aware on, well, what do I want that mood to be? And that I actually am the only one that can control that.
Mhm.
And then I can sit there and be grateful. I'm sitting in a car and I'm safe. I'm not over there in that accident, or
Mhm.
I'll still get to my destination, and either they're going to understand or they're not, but that's beyond my control. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say too is that when you're starting to look for three different things that you appreciate every day, and then you're starting to that you're then you're really looking for it. So, and it's I feel like that's an embodiment. Then we start to embody it. When we start to look for it over and over again, then we start to embody this sense of appreciation. Like I went to for my massage the other day, and I got there early, and I walked in and she was so appreciative. She goes, "Oh my goodness, that's so great you're here early, because now we can get started, because I am back-to-back calls, or back-to-back, not calls, massages." And I just thought, wow, she was just really embodying that appreciation when I just came 7 minutes early, like, or 10 minutes early or whatever, right? But it does that for us, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's what you're saying, is that it really does, like, it snowballs. The same with the negative self-talk, and bringing down your confidence and bringing in resistance, that can snowball as well. And so then countering it with now this new snowball of appreciation, and, finding the nuggets, the golden nuggets, and all the opportunities.
Yes. And that's, yeah,
Yeah.
the moment of transformation. And so for me, the gratitude really works with that moment of transformation.
Yeah. 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 So when you're in that snowball of like negative self-talk and your confidence is going down, can you see the resistance? Are you able to see it,
A lot of
or you
times I
feel it?
can't, oh gosh, I can really feel it. I can. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I noticed that when I go into acceptance and surrender, it's easier to transform. And I feel that I have more power over that resistance. And then the more I lean into it and say, I have a choice. And I guess it's sort of like saying, the outcome's going to be the same. So how do you want to handle it here with your mood? That kind of helps me transform it a little bit too. But yeah, I feel it a lot of times in my chest.
Okay, right in the heart center. Okay, so let's go on to your third shift, mind shift.
All right. So yeah, I'd like to talk about limiting beliefs. So I think a common block is the limiting beliefs, which tend to come from our subconscious mind, our core beliefs that a lot of times we find have, I guess you could say, put a program into our brain. It's kind of like our brain is the computer, and these limiting beliefs are sort of like the software operating in them. And they say that, well, like Bruce Lipton and I think Jack Canfield as well, both say that it between the ages of like 3 and 8, I think, is when we're most susceptible to when our limiting beliefs really kind of get downloaded. And so, that can be a huge block. I know for me it is. I actually just stumbled across one the other day that I need to work with my coach next week on. And one of the popular ones is I'm not enough. The one that I'm going to work on next week is disappointment. And it actually came up from my mom, because again, I was around her a lot when I was between the ages of 3 and 8.
Yeah.
And the limiting belief is, okay, so Mother's Day is coming up. My birthday is always also coming up. And I was like, you know what? It's my birthday. I should get to pick how I want the day to unfold, or how I want whatever it is to unfold. Everybody wants to get together. So my comment to my daughter was, well, let's go see what Grandma Bonnie and Grandma Jolene want. I was like, you know what? Wait a minute. Grandma Bonnie will just go with whatever. She's much more in flow. I was like, Grandma Jolene, which is my mom, let's go see what she's going to say, because she's the one that gets disappointed when things don't work out her way. And I was like, that's where I came from. It just landed. I was like,
Wow.
there's that limiting belief. Yeah. Because of my self-awareness, because of that mindfulness practice that I've started doing. And it's interesting because I really started doing that with the emotions and the thoughts. But there it is, landing with the limiting belief now. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to go find out who's driving the bus next week with my coach.
Yeah.
In the meantime, doing some journaling. Like for me, one of the tools that I like to use is journaling. And so I'm just going to think about the different times that I remember being disappointed, and go back in my childhood and see who is driving the bus, when, and where. And that way, when I'm triggered, I have an idea of what's going on. Because it was actually when I was I'm a recovering alcoholic. And when I was in rehab, my therapist told me, she's like, you don't handle disappointment very well, do you? And that was it just really struck me. I would say out of the whole 28-day program that I was there, and I got a lot of tools out of it, but that really struck me when she said, you don't handle disappointment very well. And I'm amazed at the frustration, the discontent that comes up. And really, when I find myself from one situation to another, I'm amazed at how much disappointment I find myself in. For other people, I'm looking around saying, it doesn't even affect them. They don't even think of it that way. But here I am, constantly in this sort of disappointment mode with
and especially
all
around
these
our birthdays. Did you say your birthday's this weekend as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really.
So, and I
Yes,
really
it's
feel
on
like
Tuesday.
okay, happy birthday. I really feel like around
Thank
our
you.
birthdays, and it's almost sometimes we set people up to be disappointed, and then we end up being disappointed, but we're kind of setting them up because, it's Mother's Day, it's my birthday, I want people to do this stuff, but then we're not really telling them what we want, right? And so we're almost setting ourselves up to be disappointed, and we're setting them up to disappoint us. in some way without, because we're not being clear, right? One of my affirmations is clear as kind, right? So the more clear we are, like, this is what I want, this is how I want it to go. And then we avoid that disappointment, because, and then everybody's on the same page. And it's tapping into our worthiness, tapping into our value at the same time.
Yeah, very true. I am worthy. I deserve. Absolutely.
I deserve to ask for what I want, right? And that's one of the things I do in my training is that's one of the exercises is, can you ask for what you want? And sometimes it's just starting with asking somebody to make you a cup of tea because we don't feel that deservingness of it. Yeah, this is really powerful. This is really, really powerful what you're talking about today. Okay, well, let's start sharing your gifts. Christopher says happy birthday, and Sherry also says happy birthday. What is your gift that you're giving to everybody?
All right. The free gift for everyone is a workbook, and it's kind of around what I talked about today, which is looking for what you want. There's also an exercise on why. There's an exercise in there on what have you been doing for the last year that's been working and not working, to kind of get that insight that brings you into kind of what you want. And then you go into limiting beliefs, and then there's some tools in there about setting goals and an action plan, and kind of in a planner sort of setup, so that you can just, for me, I just open it up every morning and kind of look it over. And I don't do it every morning, because you know how you were talking about ritual. Yeah, if you do ritual every day, it's really tough. Some people it works great for. Other people, like for me, I'm like, sometimes I need to look at my action plan every day if it's a new thing and I really need to focus. But some days it's just look at it once a week kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So it's sort of that takes you from where you want to be to where you want to go and how to get there with action.
Okay, so I don't think we have the link here right now, but that will be in the portal, correct? That'll be in the portal, and then so everybody can go to the portal and access that once it gets put through. And do you have a VIP gift?
I do have a VIP gift, and that is basically taking the workbook, which I just explained to you.
Yeah.
And I will work with you one-on-one or in a small group setting, and basically go either a half day work, or we'll work like for about an hour or two, like once a week for about 4 weeks, and basically get you from where you are to where you want to be. And from starting with what is it that you want, and why do you want that, to get your motivation kind of going, and then having an action plan and some goals put together.
Okay, and so once people really decide what they really want, then that's like relationships as well. Like, so it's like this combination of relationship and business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So really getting clear on what is it that you want? How is it going to affect your family? How's it going to affect your relationship? And yeah, really tapping in. What I'm hearing from you is really tapping in to that worthiness part of ourselves.
You
Yeah.
deserve all of us deserve our dream.
Yeah. And deserve to have those strong, healthy relationships that are supporting us and supporting us in our businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So share some last words of wisdom with everybody.
Yeah, I think when we look at worthiness and deserve, I think one of the roots there is self-love. I mean, in relationships, we're looking for love. In our careers, we're looking for satisfaction and fulfillment. And being that mirror again, it's hard to get those in place if we don't have self-love, and that if we're not showing up as a loving human being.
Oh,
So
perfect. Yes, yes, yes. 100%. Showing up as that ball of love. Thank you so much, Rose May. Thank you so much. This was so valuable for everybody.
thank you for joining us for another amazing session on the Sacred Success Summit. For more information or to apply to be a speaker at one of our upcoming events, email our team at breakthrough@clarityconfidenceconnection.com. Now, tune in to another transformational speaker.